Hello! It seems like my voice is starting to come back. Isn't that fucking awesome? Now I can go again. If it doesn't sound like we're going Alright, so there's a channel called Independent Man. I like his channel. I guess on Sundays he does like Lazy Sunday, where he just kind of finds a cool clip and he goes, hey, found this cool clip, watch it. And then, like, it's just the cool clip. Like, that's the whole video. He does more than that. He intros it and shit like that. He does, put in some work. But anyways, so, that was where I got the Cassie J, where she was giving the speech about the Red Pill movie, which made me want to see the movie, which got that video. So, here's another one that he did. Jordan Peterson was doing a talk, and I thought it was really interesting. He was talking about the protester culture. Or whatever the fuck you want to call it. He was talking about that, and I think he has some really interesting, insightful ideas, and he's very passionate about people learning, and I like that. I like that a lot. I've done fucking 3 videos about how important it is to just know shit. Like, whatever it is. Random stuff. Just know things. Like, anything. Just fucking know shit. That's important in life. And he fully seems to be in tow with that. So, anyways, let's watch it. I thought it was really interesting. I think you guys are going to find it interesting as well. I'm futzing with stuff, and I shouldn't be because I'm still talking. How to not YouTube. Anyways, so, alright, let's watch it. Here we go.
What is this patriarchy? Exactly. Well, what is it exactly? I mean, if we're going to talk about it, it's male domination of everything and nothing but oppression. It's like, really, that's how we're going to define our society, is it? Compared to what society, exactly? Where have people been more free than they are, for example, in this country? Now, that doesn't mean they're perfectly free, but, forget that. That's never going to happen. It's like, well, this is an oppressive place compared to the hypothetical utopia that I would produce if I happened to be, Stalin for a week. And as I've already pointed out, if you were the hypothetical altruistic utopian of your imagination, then the people right behind you in your bloody revolution would stab you to death in your bed, and you wouldn't get to make your decisions for the benefit of anyone anyways.
I always think that's an interesting point. In order for internally any group, organization, whatever the fuck you want to call it, to take over our government and supplant it with anything other than what we already have, in order to do that, it would have to be bloody revolution. So you would have to get on your side people that are willing to kill their friends and neighbors for your cause. Like, these are gonna be corrupt people. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just give it to me. Give it to me!
So, how do you think progress should be made in a world where we are freer than we have ever been? Do you think when are there changes that are desirable to be made, and how would you want to see them implemented, if not through policy or through activism, the way that certain groups currently are promoting?
Well, back, this happened in the 60s, as far as I can tell, that we've got this misbegotten idea that the way to conduct yourself as a responsible human being was to hold placards up to protest, to change the viewpoints of other people, and thereby usher in the utopia. It's like, I think that's all appalling. I think it's appalling, and I think it's absolutely absurd that students are taught that that's the way to conduct themselves in the world. It
is kind of funny, like the way he almost trivializes it, because I mean it is trivial. You're holding a sign, like you're holding a sign. Nobody's gonna read your sign, and it's not gonna inspire some great fucking change. Like, what do you really think you're accomplishing by holding your sign? You know what I mean? Like, Hillary Clinton, for what you want to say about her, is actually trying to get her fucking agendas in place. You know what I mean? She's working towards the goal. She's not standing out there holding the fucking sign.
First of all, if you're 19 or 20 or 21, you don't bloody well know anything. You haven't done anything. You don't know anything about history. You haven't read anything. You haven't supported yourself for any length of time. You've been entirely dependent on your state and on your family for the brief few years of your existence, and the idea that you have enough wisdom to determine how society should be reconstructed when you're sitting in the absolute lap of luxury, protected by processes that you don't understand, is absolutely I mean, it's...
Yeah, dude. I feel the same way.
Okay, so that's a bad, let's call that a bad idea.
Sure.
Shall we? And then the idea that what you should do to change the world is to find people who you disagree with and shake paper on sticks at them and call them names is also, and it's a...
Again, right there.
And then you do that before you go out for... Here, I'll tell you how serious the activists are. This is something that's just unbelievably comical as far as I'm concerned. So some of you may know that I participated in a debate on free speech, so-called debate at free speech that the University of Toronto hosted. It turned into a forum and whatever that is, but it's certainly not a debate. But one of the things I did when I was talking to the university administration was to suggest how they might deal with the possibility of protesters. So I said, well, that's easy. I know how you can have absolutely zero protesters. Have it in the morning. They won't get out of bed and attend.
That is funny.
So we had it at 9 o'clock in the morning, and there was one MPP, a member of parliament, who showed up to hand out some pamphlets, not a single protester. So it's like if you want a controversial speaker on campus, just have it at 7 in the morning. You won't get a protester within 50 yards of it because they'll still be sleeping off last night's pot and alcohol-induced hangover.
That is kind of funny.
So you know, and the question was, what do I think people should do? And I'll tell you something that's been very interesting to me, and I can see it reflected here. The first thing I've noticed is that when I started putting my videos on YouTube, which was about 3 years ago, I noticed that about 85% of the people that were watching them were men. And I thought, that's pretty weird, because about 80% of my students are women, you know, because men are bailing out of universities like mad, and there won't be one in the social sciences and humanities left in 10 years, but, you know, nobody seems particularly worried about that. You can go look that up online if you want, and look at the enrollment curves and just project them 10 years out into the future. And I've been following that for about 20 years. But one of the things, but online it was 85% men. I thought, wow, that's really weird and strange. And then I made these political videos, and then it's popped up to 91% men. And then I've noticed in the audiences that I've gone to talk to that it's almost all men. Now just look around here, man. It's like, what? It's got to be 90% guys in this audience. And I thought, what the hell's going on? It's weird. And I noticed that at the first free speech debate at the University of Toronto. I made a point of it. I walked into the room and I thought, wow, these are all men. So I had the men stand up and the women stand up. And I used that as an example of the fact that maybe men and women have different interests. It was, you know, just an ad hoc demonstration, but it's really been borne out by the demographic analysis of my viewers, and I have, you know, about 8 million views or something like that now, so it's a pretty big population.
So, just to throw in my own anecdotal, whatever, call it whatever you want, it's hardly fucking proof, but for myself, for my channel, I pay attention to the analytics, I look at them, and the gender breakdown is there. There's still no place for other, so that's kind of upsetting. It's still just male and female, but whatever. Anyways, so like whenever I do a big long stretch of time where it's like news or, you know, anti-feminist type stuff, or, you know, like political criticisms or things like this, you know, communism, capitalism, stuff like that. Whenever I do those kind of videos for a long stretch of time, I wind up getting up to about 60-70% guys. But then I'll bust out like an Onision video, and all of a sudden it'll jump to like 60-65% women. Like, so, and Joy did it too. When I posted the Joy video, that was another time where I got a huge spike in women. And now even, I think it's like 65% or something like that, women. Like, it's it's funny to see the interest, you know, the difference in the interest. But what's funniest is it's like, when I do those videos, I also see a huge jump in views. So it's like, I'm getting more women in, which scares me. Just because fickle creatures y'all are.
I've been talking nonstop about personal responsibility and about the fact that if you want to change the world, you should bloody well get your act together and quit whining and sniveling about how horrible everything is and about how people owe you more rights and more privileges. And for some reason, that seems to be a message that's really resonating among young men. And I think the reason for that...
Well, you see, here's this nice bell chart. All right, so this is the men here, and this is the women. See, there's a lot more basic bitches in there. See that?
First of all, I think young women have enough to do, and so that's perhaps part of the reason why the message isn't as necessary for them. They're trying to juggle career, they're trying to figure out how to have a family, and they don't really have any question about whether or not that's useful and proper, so they're off doing that, and whatever else they're doing. But young men seem to have more of a choice about that, and many of them are essentially bailing out. And it's partly because I think they've been well punished for their virtues. And so I talk to young guys in particular about, adopting some responsibility and trying to straighten out their lives and to bear the load of being properly and to forthrightly move through existence and to become a credit to themselves and their community. And that's what you should do instead of waving cards at someone telling them to behave more properly because you're morally superior to them.
Well, when you say it like that.
So, and for some reason that message, which is, it's not the sort of message that you would expect to sell, right? It's exactly the opposite of something that you would consider saleable. But my experience has been that the young men in particular are so bloody desperate for that message that they can hardly stand themselves. And it's no wonder, because it's a call to proper being. It's a call to heroic being. And it's a call for people to adopt their individual responsibility and to straighten themselves out and to find out what they could be like if they took on the burdens of existence like respectable, well-educated, articulate, powerful people. And that's to the benefit of everyone.
Yeah.
And so that's where the responsibility lies. And
Yeah. It lies within you to make you great. Say it over and over and over again. He just articulates it so passionate.
I'm not interested in... Look, I've thought for many, many years.
All right. So he's about to start a fight with his water bottle. You've seen the first attempt to drink some water, and he was like, fuck that water.
Decades, really, about having a political career. I mean, I was interested in a political career when I was 13. And so every 5 years or so, I've probably revisited that. But every time I revisited, I came to the same conclusion, which was that the work that I was doing that was focused on a philosophy of individual responsibility and trying to identify how that philosophy had emerged in the West over thousands of years was more important than any possible political action could be. And I still don't regard what I'm doing as political in any sense of the word. I think it's philosophical most accurately, and there's an element of it that's theological. So
I want that water.
So I think
Man, fuck that water. I got a point.
It's individual responsibility. And the meaning of life is to be found in the adoption of individual responsibility. And that's what the university should be teaching people.
So, Dr. Peterson, you mentioned these ideas of
Third time's the charm.
Responsibility, of virtue, of respect. You've, I think, detailed what you think students shouldn't do in these examples of like protests and these examples of certain types of activist tactics. What advice would you have for students? How can students make the changes that they want to make? Particularly, do you have any advice for students here?
Yeah, read great books. Really, man.
I like the way he talks. Like he's got a very down to earth. Like I think that's another reason why it resonates with men so much. He's very down to earth, very logical. We get that shit. Like it sinks into us so easily. And he's like, just fucking read good books, man. Like I like this guy. He's funny as hell.
You've got this 4-year period that has been carved out of your lives by society. It's given you an identity, like a high quality identity, and freedom at the same time. And you're not going to get that again in your life. You've got a respectable identity, university student, and complete freedom associated with that, or as near as you're ever going to get. And you've got these unbelievable libraries that are full of the writings of people who are intelligent and articulate beyond comprehension. And you know, and you can go there and you can learn all this. And you might think, well, why should you learn it? Well, you learn it to get a job, or you learn it to get good grades, or you learn it to get a degree, and that's all nonsense. It's nonsense.
I do like this, man. Oh, he comes to a real good point.
The reason that you come to university to be educated is because there's nothing more powerful than someone who is articulate and who can think and speak.
That's fucking powerful.
It's power.
Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level? It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
And I mean power of the best sort. It's authority and influence and respectability and competence.
Yeah, god damn it.
And so you come to university to craft your highest skill. And your highest skill is to be found in articulated speech. And if you're a master at formulating your arguments, you win everything. And better than that, when you win everything, everyone around you wins too.
Okay, this is where it kind of starts to go off the rails a tad.
Because to transform yourself into, let's consider your transformation into something approximating the logos. It means you shine a light on the whole world.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Well, there's nothing more exciting to do than that. There's nothing better you can possibly do.
Yeah, shine that light on people. Mm-hmm.
And to think that you're coming to university to be, trained to have a job, it's like, great, that's a hell of a lot better than being unemployed and covered with Cheeto dust while you're snacking away in front of your video game in the basement.
Hey, I like video games.
But it's not and I don't have anything against video games, by the way.
Well, then what the fuck is it? Cheeto dust or basements?
But
See that? I stole his laugh track.
But it's hardly a triumphant call to being in the world, and that's what university should be calling forth. It's like, God, you people, I know what Harvard students are like. I taught here for 5 years. You people are spectacular. You're spectacular. You're all capable of being world beaters. You transform yourself into something that's articulated and sensible and grounded in history and knowledgeable and wise, man. You can do anything you want, and hopefully anything you want for good. Because if you have any sense, everything you want to do would be for the good, because there's nothing more compelling or meaningful or useful in combating the tragedy of life than to struggle with all your soul on behalf of the good. And the universities have forgotten that. It's why everyone's bailing out of the humanities, and they should. The humanities are corrupt.
God damn, this guy is passionate.
And they're corrupt because they're not telling students this. It's so bloody obvious. It's like, learn to think, learn to speak, learn to read. It makes you a superpower, an individual superpower. And I don't understand why that isn't just told to students. It's not that hard to understand, and everyone wants to hear it. It's like, really? I could do that? I could do that? It's like, yeah, really, you could do that. And the whole society around you has labored for really thousands of years to provide every single one of you with this spectacular opportunity that you have while you're undergraduates and graduate students here, man. Everyone's just praying that you would come here and manifest everything that you could manifest. And that's what you should be doing instead of waving placards and complaining about how you're oppressed, for God's sake. You see these Yale students complaining about their oppression. It just leaves me aghast. It's like, well, we're against the ruling class. It's like, no, you're baby ruling class members. You're young. The only reason you're not rich is because you're young. That's the best. Really, if you look at the 1% even, the dreaded 1%, most of those people are old. Why? Well, when you progress through life, if you're reasonably successful, you trade in your promising youth for your wealthy old age, but you're still bloody old. Would you trade it? Would you trade your youth for that?
I don't know, man. No, probably not. I've been a screw up my whole life. It's been fun.
Like, if you factor age out of the economic equation, things look a lot different. Well, of course older people have more money. If they have any sense, they've been collecting it for their whole life. Is that somehow unfair?
Well, when you say it like that, I mean...
It's not unfair unless you want to be poverty-stricken when you're 70. And you don't want to be poverty-stricken when you're 70. So I just don't understand what's happened to the universities. I can't believe that you're not told when you come the first day, look, man, you're here on a heroic mission. You're going to take your capacity to articulate yourself to levels that are undreamed of. You're going to come out of here unstoppable. You're going to be able to do anything you want. It's like, that's what you're here for. Instead, you're taught that, well, you know, the world's a pretty oppressive place, and you're probably the bottom of the victim pile, and there's virtually nothing you can do about it except, you know, deconstruct the patriarchy. And it's so weak-kneed and so pathetic that universities should be embarrassed that that's what they're peddling to students. I'm embarrassed by it.
Again, when you put it like that, like it is the most ridiculous thing in the world that people think that shit works. It doesn't fucking work. It annoys people.
You know, I've gone on public record telling parents, bloody well send your boys to trade school because at least they'll learn something useful. And that's a terrible thing for someone like me to say, because I do believe that that being articulated and educated in the highest possible manner there's nothing that's better for you and for society. And why have the universities forgotten this? Well, that's postmodern neo-Marxism for you, you know. Then the philosophy of intense resentment and oppression and group identity, and God, it's just pathetic. It's like, you know, you go out there with a stick and a sign on it that says, "I'm against poverty." It's like, yeah, no kidding, man. Really. Like, who's for poverty? No one's for poverty.
Some of the signs are fucking ridiculous.
So it's an abdication of responsibility with the mask of social virtue. You want to solve a difficult problem, so you figure out how to get along with your brother, the one you've been fighting with for 5 years, or see if you can staple your family back together. See if you can stop fighting with your girlfriend and have a relationship that lasts for more than 2 weeks. You know, it's like there are things that you should be doing in the confines of your own life that are private and humble, that would constitute genuine accomplishments, and those are the things that you should attend to. And no one's going to come along and say, "Hey, you know, good job, you're changing the world," because it's private, but it's real. And people don't do that. And so no, I don't trust the activist. I don't trust the activist ethos at all. I think everything about it is superficial and trendy and too easy, and it externalizes the blame. The evil is always elsewhere, which is a dreadful mistake to make, because the evil isn't elsewhere. That's the thing that you understand when you're wise. Is the evil is not elsewhere. It's you, because you're not everything you could be. And so, you know, you should work on that before going and telling someone else that maybe they're not who they should be. So I think it's, you know, I don't buy it. It's too easy. It's far too easy. And it's too public. And it's too self-congratulatory. And then there's the murderous, like, Marxist element, which, you know, I'm always often inclined to mention.
It's like the Force. The bad side is just quicker, easier, more seductive. No, you know, isn't that exactly what he says? Quicker, easier, more seductive. Fucking same thing. Everything comes back to Star Wars. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, I like that. I thought that was cool as fuck. Like I said, he almost trivializes it to the point where you look at now I look at people with holding signs and I'm like, I've always kind of been that way, you know, like one of the things, this might be a bad story to tell, but it's at the end of the video. Nobody's fucking watching. So, I used to drive past a clinic every morning to go and get breakfast when I was working. I would drive past this fucking clinic and there was always people out protesting. And I'm like, and the thing that annoyed me about it was like, you know, whatever happened if I had to take a girl in there? You know what I mean? Like, I have to walk this girl who's making the toughest decision of her life past these people that are holding up signs that, you know, say abortion is murder and shit like that. And it's like, God damn it, they're going to make her change her fucking mind. And that's going to fuck me. Because what am I going to do then? No, seriously though, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but there was an audio clip. Maybe I'll see if I can find it.
Excuse me. Wondering what it is you're actually hoping to accomplish here. Not invisible. Well, I'll tell you what. I just walked in with my wife. We were trying to have another kid, and you know what? 1 in 100,000 fatal demise, a congenital deformity. So you're yelling at my wife for doing nothing wrong than having a nearly dead baby inside her? And that's what you're gonna do? Oh, that's not what you're here for? It's what you just did. You're sorry? You think maybe you want want to ask before? You're just yelling at random people, and you have no idea what you're doing to them. And you know what? It's despicable. It is despicable. Come to what place? Because of people like you, no one wants to perform these anymore. Because you make people who are already upset on the worst day of their lives feel even worse. So there's really not a whole lot of places to go anymore. My wife should be cared for in a hospital. She was cared for in a hospital. This is affiliated with a hospital. Well, guess what? There is a time-sensitive nature on this, and I don't want her delivering a stillborn baby, which is what would happen if we waited anymore.
Okay, there was a medical necessity in there. Are you recording this?
I sure am. You know what? Oh, what? Oh, you want to stand out in public, but you don't want to make public statements? How hypocritical. That's nice.
Have you ever seen an aborted baby?
I have seen an aborted baby. I've seen pictures, thanks to people like you, holding up severed heads of fetuses, because that's really effective.
Do you know how many women commit suicide after abortion?
There are a lot. People commit suicide for a lot of reasons.
Love thy brother. Thank you.
Love thy brother? Yeah. You know what? You people think you're helping? Why don't you go help with at-risk kids? Why don't you try and stem the problem beforehand? Instead, you're going to sit out here with your stupid signs. Congratulations, you have adopted children. Fine. What are you doing out here making people feel awful about themselves?
We are killing millions of healthy babies. Are you just feeling
Really?
awful, sir?
Really?
Just angry with the world?
Oh, no, I'm just angry with you. Because you are the lowest common denominator right now. You are a waste of human... Oh, yeah, I call the cops? I'm standing on public property and I'm not doing anything wrong. You're yelling at people, so I feel that I can talk. I know my rights inside and out.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I do. Congratulations. You're a real winner. Both of you.
You're an angry father.
Oh, I'm an angry father? I sure am. Angry at you and with good reason. Lowest common denominator.
So it's just it's more angering than anything else, I think. It's just annoying. Stop fucking holding up signs and chanting shit. You're just pissing people off. That's the reason why all this shit nowadays is getting so popular. Why everybody's loving Trump and hating you motherfuckers. Because you just gotta dig in. Like assholes, you just gotta dig in.